Morning, Dan and Amy, and Thanksgiving has come early for Amy because Newt Gingrich
It's
saying
true.
what?
Newt Gingrich on Fox and Friends right now saying that Mitt Romney has been offered the Secretary of State position. It's Mitt Romney's decision now over the next 3-day weekend to meet with his family members. I'm sure speak with Ann to decide whether or not he wants to get back into the political world. But I think we need him. The bat signal has been going out that we need somebody like Mitt Romney to head the State
It's
Department.
interesting. I thought that was mostly for show, but it sounds like it's not, and Mitt Romney will be the Secretary of State to really the centerpiece of Donald Trump's foreign policy team, national security team.
And then also Governor Nikki Haley has been offered. Do you want to make the announcement, Dan?
Well, yeah, she's going to be the U.S. ambassador to the UN. That's what's going to happen there. So.
How do you think?
Moving with all due speed on key posts, which
Yeah.
is sensible if you feel like you've got the right people. Well, one of the things that has created a bit of controversy, particularly over the last 24 hours, as Kellyanne Conway said, and Donald Trump more or less confirmed when he visited with the New York Times yesterday, that there's no real interest in pursuing federal criminal investigation, federal criminal prosecution of Hillary Clinton, effectively saying, Krauthammer referred to it as effectively a pardon. One could look at it more charitably, even as effectively taking Jim Comey's conclusion and just accepting it. I wonder how that is being received within law enforcement circles. And to help us with that question, we're pleased to be joined again by our friend Ron Hosko, who is a former FBI assistant director and now the president of the Law Enforcement Legal Defense Fund. Ron, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Hey, it's good to be with you. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. And so what of the apparent decision by Trump? And, even though he appoints, the argument, well, he appoints the attorney general and judges and prosecutors and they do their jobs. Yeah, but no federal prosecutor, no attorney general is going to pursue charges that are not backed by the president, and particularly when it's telegraphed before they even take office. I think that's only a pragmatic analysis. So how do you see that being received within FBI, within law enforcement circles, and frankly CIA, because there was a lot of former CIA agents and leadership in that agency who wanted to see a reckoning with Hillary Clinton because they were so appalled by how she handled or mishandled classified information.
Right. So there's several pieces to this. First, right now, and certainly while he was candidate Trump, now he's president-elect, but he's not in office. And I guess to put a fine point on it, he doesn't have a vote today. He will have a vote in a couple of months. And so we're hearing, not surprisingly, him pulling back from some of the rhetoric and some of the hyperbole, perhaps, of the campaign, and maybe having a more measured approach to understanding what the decision was. But I don't read it as Trump saying we should never prosecute Hillary Clinton for anything. I kind of was looking at it as the email matter, treat that as having been decided. And I think if he got a good briefing on the case and the judgments, he may well have seen it as the right path anyway.
Yeah, Ann
So
Coulter.
maybe he is. Go ahead.
Sorry, Ann Coulter yesterday said, he's not the FBI or the DOJ or the Attorney General. So aren't they the ones who have to make the decision ultimately?
Yes. The president is a political elected official, our nation's chief. But there's always a supposition that the chief executive should not be meddling in the work of the Justice Department or certainly of the FBI. The attorney general is a political appointee. The director of the FBI is supposed to be a 10-year appointee to be apolitical, to be independent. And I think that's what Jim Comey is showing us, and he's done it repeatedly, is kind of showing us his independence and telling us about his judgments. So, in our perfect world, the president should not be trying to turn off investigations or turn on investigations of potential political enemies. And I think the FBI will look at now they have opined on, they have weighed in on whether she should be prosecuted for the email scandal. And I agree with anybody who has said it is obscenely ridiculous and reckless her conduct was. I totally agree with that. However, as they looked at the facts and the law, they came to a determination. I hope that's all that the president is talking about, because I am very confident my former colleagues will be moving forward on a Clinton Foundation investigation as a fact-finding mission right now to see, are there facts that suggest somebody should be prosecuted. And it is way premature for President Trump or one of his supporters or spokespersons to suggest a result in that case, which is effectively brand new.
Well,
now with the election.
Yeah, that's interesting because, I mean, Trump didn't limit his comments about the Clintons, and Kellyanne Conway didn't limit her comments about Hillary to the issue of the homebrew server and the handling of classified information. It was more of a blanket statement. Now that you can, as you said, read that a couple of different ways. You can read that as giving them some latitude so you don't get specific, or you can read that as they're walking away from this altogether, or that's their disposition. And you know, I understand your perfect world scenario, but then there's the real world, and it strains the bounds of credulity to believe even a person of great integrity, a former prosecutor of great integrity and of great professionalism like Jeff Sessions is going to not take judicial notice, if you will, of what the president and his aides are saying about this prior to his confirmation to be attorney general. And then one more additional kind of layer to this because of so much traffic on this topic. Mm-hmm. The idea that like the Manhattan U.S. attorney for Manhattan, well, he can pursue a prosecution if he wants to. Well, yeah, but there's no U.S. attorney in the country that is going to pursue a prosecution of Hillary Clinton, whatever the substance of the matter, without the high sign from DOJ, without the high sign from the Attorney General. So practically, doesn't it really play out this way for Hillary Clinton if there is this disinclination to see the investigation pursued or certainly a prosecution pursued?
Yeah, I think it would go to the strength of the evidence. And I think that the FBI should be that the president should remain silent. And I've been critical of President Obama on his putting his thumb on the scale of any number of matters that have come under investigation on the federal side. He should avoid that. And I would think in an ideal situation, the FBI would conduct a full and unfettered investigation. And if the evidence is strong, that the president should take that under advisement and say, look, I need to keep my mouth shut on this. This is a matter that is within the purview of the Justice Department. Let the professionals decide on the strength of it and whether we should proceed. And if it is strong enough, whether it's against Hillary, Bill Clinton, others at the foundation, or neither of them and others at the foundation, that should proceed in its normal course of business. And that is for the Department of Justice. As you said, they will be weighing in with a U.S. Attorney's Office on opinions about the strength of the evidence, assuming there is a case developed. They may well have a recommendation or a decision to decline prosecution. The president's real option is not to tell DOJ, turn it off. It's to issue a pardon. If he thinks a crime has been committed and he wants to pardon somebody, go ahead and issue a pardon and answer for that. But in the meanwhile, the president absolutely should remain silent on it. Let the case be worked. Let it come to its natural conclusion.
And do you think eventually the Clinton Foundation will be shut down?
You know, I think the interesting developments that we're hearing about today is, the precipitous drop-off of donations to the foundation.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I would love it if an enterprising journalist would pursue that and give us the numbers and explain to us why. And why seems like it may be very clear.
Yeah.
Because it is the commingling of power and money in Washington, D.C.
Is there also the possibility with the Clinton Foundation that at some point, if, as you suggest there is strength of evidence to pursue a criminal prosecution, that the Clintons would be presented with the window or the stairs option? shut down the foundation
Yeah.
or face the window?
Well, under Eric Holder, and it's kind of continued under Loretta Lynch, the department has really become famous for deferred prosecution agreements with big corporations, where you really see very few top executives being tried and being convicted and going to jail. But what you have are these multi-million-dollar deals to basically make the case go away. It seems like it's a corporate slap on the wrist. All the executives stay in place. The corporation, might be a bank or an investment firm, pays a massive fine, and everything continues. So there is a deferred prosecution agreement option, I think, in certain circumstances. Depends on, again, strength of the evidence against individuals as well as the institution. Could some deal be struck? Anything could happen in Washington, D.C.
All right, well, that is true. He is Ron Hosko, former FBI director and now the president of the Law Enforcement Legal Defense Fund. Ron, thanks for joining us. Happy Thanksgiving. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Good talking.
Thanks. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
If you